Hello and welcome to Filmy Ladies. Here is Pitu, and I am Beth. And if you cannot guess by the bright patterns and colors we are wearing today, we thought we would go back to the 90s and watch two Govinda David Dhawan films. I regret everything.
I just want to point out to everybody that this was Beth's idea.
I don't know much about Govinda. I have not seen a ton of his films, so I do want to learn because I know he's a superstar. I know he's beloved. I don't really get it.
Yeah.
But I don't dislike him at all. It's usually, I think he's talented, but I don't like what he's doing, and I don't like everything that surrounds it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my movie was no exception to this. So I watched Haseena Maan Jayegi from 1999, which has been on my radar a long time, not in terms of I want to watch it, but in terms of I knew about it because there was a 60s Shashi Kapoor film also called Haseena Maan Jayegi,
Mhm.
and I almost accidentally bought that DVD once. And then I had a friend in New Zealand. It was another of the bloggers, Ness, if you remember Ness.
Oh yeah, I
She was on a
remember.
Govinda tear and she almost accidentally bought the Shashi one, which is a very filmy mix up to have happen, especially on opposite sides of the
What a
planet.
Manmohan Desai life you
I
lead.
know. And like both of us were like, I wouldn't possibly want that other one. Of course I want the one that I want. So here I am years later for Ness. I watch this film. Also, it's a remake of a Shashi Kapoor film, which I have talked about on this podcast called Pyar Kiye Ja, which is a remake of a Tamil film. I love that movie, not because I think it's, epic filmmaking or anything, but because I think it's extremely fun and the songs are great. And
It's
Shashi
the
is
one that
really
has
funny.
Mahmood in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is as far as I know, the origin of Vah Vah Productions, which
Yes.
of course makes it great. I really hated the movie that I watched. What did you watch and how did you feel about it?
I watched Raja Babu from 1994, which I have actually seen fully. This was my second time seeing it fully, but I've also seen it multiple times in bits and pieces because this is one of those movies that they always showed on like Z Cinema in India. So if you were watching, TV or whatever, you were at some point going to encounter some scene. And the thing with David Dhawan movies is that they're very nonsensical. So it's not like you need to be beholden to the plot. You can
Right.
start a David Dhawan movie 47 minutes into the film and you can still you're like, okay, this kind of makes sense. And I kind of get what's going on because it's very like, do you know that the paint by number stuff? It's like that. It's like
Absolutely.
numbers. He has these certain people that like the David Dhawan ecosystem is basically well David Dhawan, and then Kader Khan is always omnipresent, and he's usually the writer, and he also does the like dialogues and stuff. And then there's always Govinda, and then there's Karishma Kapoor. Occasionally there'll be a movie like Jurva that has Salman in it instead, but there's like a very typical setup, and it's usually in like a gown and it's just like slapstick and really silly and it's not really like you have to pay a lot of attention. So I have seen Raja Babu like a million times just because it happened to be around, and I actually really love the title song. It's very fun and it's very catchy, and I actually listened to the song twice. Like I rewound it and watched it all over again because it was so much fun.
Who did the songs?
I actually have no idea who choreographed
Ah,
them, but I
okay.
always it's usually like Chinni Prakash and stuff who choreographs, but I didn't look it up. But it was I mean Raja Babu is like it's a silly movie. The thing about David Dhawan films is that they're all regressive, all of them,
The
all of them.
the poster for this movie that's on IMDb is Govinda with a giant gun and flames behind him. So it does not look like a silly movie.
That's, I mean, the poster I've mostly seen is where he's wearing a yellow kurta and a black vest, and he's on a motorbike, which has tinsel on it. And Shakti
Ah.
Kapoor, who's his bestie, is behind him, and he's holding like an umbrella, like a multicolored umbrella. That's like the most common one.
Hmm.
So that may be like a wrong poster they put on IMDb or something. But it's just like a silly movie, and he's like a country bumpkin, and it's just I sighed a lot while watching this movie, but I also wasn't like particularly surprised or taken aback because the thing with David Dhawan movies is you have to expect a lot of misogyny from start to finish, and you have to just assume a certain base level of regressiveness. Like there's just going to be so much tyag and izzat and balidan happening, and also family values and everything, that it's just never going to be your cup of tea. For me, the only positive was Govinda himself, because he's funny and he's silly. And like I said, the title song is awesome. And also, it takes a lot of balls to pull off the horrible color combinations he pulls off, like the mustard yellow with all the multicolored stuff. And it is in honor of those astounding color combinations that I wore my Fanta colored dress so that it would clash with my pink wall. Yeah. I actually have seen Haseena Maan Jayegi, but I did not know that it was a remake of the Shashi Kapoor film. I just assumed that it was just like a recycled title.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, title from one Shashi film, plot from another one. Um,
Okay.
I am not sure I would have recognized it as Pyar Kiya Ja had I
Mm,
not read that ahead of time. I see it, but I don't, it's not close enough that I would have thought, oh, you know what? That is exactly like, because
yeah.
there's no Mehmood character making Vava Productions, for
Right.
example. That's a real strike against.
Yeah.
There's no Mumtaz equivalent, for example. So
Right.
it's just kind of masala comedy, whatever.
Yeah. So, what is the story of Haseena Maan Jayegi? All I remember from this movie is Manu controlo nahi hota yaar. That's all I remember.
Huh.
And I remember the kind of like the bromance between him and
Yeah,
Sanjay Dutt. And I think Sanjay Dutt, if I'm not mistaken, plays like a real lallu, like he's really dumb. And I think is Govinda like the more shrewd one or
I
something?
guess. Yeah, I
Okay.
guess.
That's all I remember.
So they are brothers. Their dad is, would you like to guess who their dad is?
Is it Kader Khan?
It is Kader Khan.
Wow. Okay.
Um, and is there a joke later about that's not my photo, that's Kader Khan? Yes, of course there is.
Okay.
Um, I will say I enjoy the concept of these two as brothers. That's very silly.
Yeah.
I like it. And you know, Sanjay Dutt's not my favorite by any means, but there are moments where I think he's really enjoyable. And I did enjoy him fairly well in this movie. Yeah, so they play brothers, they are rich, they are kind of no good laysabouts, whatever. So their father gets the advice from his munshi or whoever to like, you got to separate them, divide and conquer. And they discuss how that's what the British did in India, is divide and conquer.
Right.
It's like, ooh, too soon, maybe. um,
Yeah.
uh, and so one brother is sent off to Goa to take care of somebody who owes the dad money. The other brother is in the office doing blah, 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 blah. Lolo is there. So Govinda and Lolo become a couple, and then the other love interest is, oh my God, I'm blanking on her name, Pooja Batra, who I
Oh,
know
yeah.
I've seen her before, but I have no concept of her whatsoever. And she and Sanjay are like, I don't get any particular chemistry off of them or whatever,
They're
but
both just gangly.
yeah, and of course, neither woman really has anything to do in this film. If you have seen the mid '60s Tamil or Shashi film, Pyar Kiya Ja, these two Lolo gets most of the like sassy fight back stuff than in this one that I could see, but so that she kind of has more fun. Like she's got the friends who beat people up with hockey sticks and things
Mm.
like that. So and then there's just a bunch of shenanigans and a lot of costumes, and then there's cops, and then there's other stuff happening. Aruna Irani is there. Uh, just all the people that you would expect to be there are there. Anupam Kher is there. Um, so in the '60s one that I'm more familiar with, Mehmood does a lot of not Mehmood, sorry, he is there. Um, Kishore Kumar is the second
Mm.
male lead, and maybe even the star, depending on how you see things. And he's always putting on disguises and being playing his own uncle and stuff like that. And Govinda gets that role, which makes sense. But that then leaves Sanjay Dutt to be the Shashi Kapoor role, and that's not math that I will accept. Granted, it's not exactly the same story and they're not relying on the same kind of charms and stuff, thank goodness. But I don't know. I fast forwarded a lot of this. I was so bored. After a while, it's mostly the middle-aged dudes doing all the talking and shenanigans, and there's a gangster and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
This was not a good choice, as it turns out. But I've certainly seen, I knew that this movie existed because of aforementioned, Manmohan Desai approved switcheroos in my DVD buying career. Um, Yeah, I have liked other David Dhawan films a lot better, like Hero Number One that I watched for our Lolo episode. Obviously, that one's a lot more fun. So I don't know if people have
And
any.
that's the Bawarchi remake.
Yes, if people have specific thoughts on this movie, I would love to know what they are. But to me, this was just, it wasn't even time pass because I was fast forwarding. So I don't know. I would not recommend anyone watch this. I'm so sorry. My cat has found a little foam ball and is batting it all over the living room and dining room, making a lot of noise. So yeah, I don't know. This was a damp squid for me, and it had some of the typical David Dhawan sort of problems, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, I will also say, though, I did enjoy the 90s of the fashions. I almost
Hmm.
went and put on the one dress I have that has like an overall front to it because, of course they're wearing overalls in it. The girls are in like chonky platform boots or sneakers. It's very Spice Girls hangover because it's 1999. Like there's, and I'm the same age as Charisma Kapoor, so I recognize a lot of this stuff. I was like, oh yeah, that would have been fun. Before
Yeah.
we hit record, I actually had my hair in pigtails, but then I decided it would annoy me too much to have it since I have a camera on, so I took them out. But I do have my ponytail holders right here. Um, but yeah, I don't know if people have seen this. I'd like to know what you think, but I don't know. I would never point anyone to watch this film if they're
Yeah.
curious about any of the people involved. And when I looked up David Dhawan, I was like, he's directed 44 films,
Wow.
which is an awful lot. And of course, they go back to the late 80s. So he's he's just made ever so many films, many a year sometimes. And I
Wow.
just,
I mostly just
oh,
know his like Govinda output.
yeah. And clearly that's a beloved partnership. Like I think
Right.
if you were doing a list of the creative partnerships of mainstream Hindi cinema, a lot of people would put that one in the top 10, I think. And
Yeah.
I can see why. It doesn't tend to work for me, but I I recognize it as mighty, even if I don't really get it.
Right. Yeah. And I was thinking about what you said about Haseena Maan Jayegi, and I would say that that's actually one of the stronger
Mm,
David Dhawan into Govinda combinations. Like I think probably Hero Number One would be the best one,
yeah.
but like Kuli Number One is difficult to get through. Raja Babu is difficult to get through. Haseena
Yeah.
Maan Jayegi at least has like I personally enjoy the bromance between the two of them.
Yes.
Once you get over the shock of these two people supposedly being brothers,
Yeah.
you're like, what?
I
It's
kept
like, you know
waiting
that
for that not to be true.
right, yeah. Well, it's kind of like in isn't it Welcome, in which Nana
Yeah.
Patekar is Katrina Kaif's brother? And I was like,
Yeah.
what? Like, what? I was so confused. I couldn't get past it. Um, and I kind of enjoyed the song in this movie, Sharmana Chhod Dal, Raz Dil Ka Khol Dal, Aju Baju Mat Dekh, I Love You Bol Dal. I
Yeah.
like that one. And then, the yellow t-shirts with the overalls, that always reminds me of the Minions. So it has certain aspects in it that are funny. And then I like the whole Manu control yaar, nahi hota yaar. Like I remember for a while when this movie came out, that was like a thing. Like
Oh,
people would
nice.
say that. Yeah, like if I was getting like upset about something, my friends would be like, oh, control yaar. And be like, oh, nahi hota yaar. So it has like a few like fun things in it. The problem is you have to get through 3 hours of dreck for those few
Yeah.
moments. And it's one of those films, and this is true of, I would say, of almost all of these David Dhawan Govinda films, because I've seen all of them, right?
Mhm.
Is that I think a lot of people from my generation have fond memories of these films, but they don't hold up. And there's like a little bit of a nostalgia factor where like, oh my god, remember when this song came out and all the rickshawalas were playing it, because
Uh,
this music was like all the rickshawalas and all the panwalas loved it. If you wanted to go to my local panwala and you wanted to get a Calcutta meetha, which is my preferred pan choice, and if you were like, bhaiya ek Calcutta meetha dena, there would always be like, angana mein baba, it was either that or it's like hamari gali aa jana, or one of those songs that was always playing. So there's a nostalgia factor to it, but they don't hold up. And I watched Raja Babu, and within 5 minutes of this movie starting, it had already failed my cell phone test. Like I had my cell phone in
yeah.
one hand, I had one eye on my computer, and I was just like looking through Instagram. Then I got bored with Instagram. Then I opened Substack. Then I like opened WhatsApp and started messaging people. I sent you like 1 million screenshots. So it is what it is. And I know that at least for a certain generation, it's a very unpopular thing to say that you don't like David Dhawan movies. But the thing is, I feel like a lot of those people who would push back haven't seen an entire David Dhawan movie in a long time. And if they were forced to sit
Yeah.
through it today, I don't know if they would be able to. And there's also another common charge I feel like you have to hear where people are like, well, it's just comedy. It's supposed to be stupid. It's supposed to be boring. Okay, cool. But like, I still think that, what is that movie that I love? The Dana Carvey and Mike Myers one.
Wayne's World?
Yes. I mean, I love Wayne's World. I will
I
watch
love
Wayne's
Wayne's
World
World.
1 million times. And, that's stupid too. But like, it just holds up in a way that these don't. So it's not like, and then I know people love Dumb and Dumber. It's not really my cup of tea, but like, I get it. So there is something to be said for like, it's not that people are dissing the fact that it's comedy. They're dissing the fact that it's just, these are not stories that are being told well,
Mm.
and the direction is very questionable, and there's some very, very regressive and stupid things that are happening. There's a high level of melodrama, and it's just kind of painful to sit through. But I feel bad for Govinda, honestly, because he is almost always the best thing about these films. And whenever I watch these movies, I'm like, you're awesome, but I don't know what the hell David Dhawan is doing.
Govinda is such an interesting figure, I feel, and I'm not really qualified to say
Mm,
very much, but I was thinking about it this morning. And he's not typically handsome.
mm-mm.
He
He's very
has
everyman.
he definitely has a screen presence, but
Mm,
I at least don't find it to be like charm offensive or anything like that. Um, Obviously can dance. That's,
yes.
you know, but his stardom is very puzzling to me. Like, how did this
Yeah.
guy kind of make it through the ringer? I know he's a bit of a Nepo kid, but not like
Yeah.
at Kapoor
Not
levels
like
or
A-list
anything.
Nepo.
No. So it's fascinating to me that he had a career at all. And then also, if you look at his Wikipedia, you know how they'll put chapter headings and be like struggles,
Yeah, yeah.
current to fame is just like struggles, more struggles. So like he never really came back around. I know he does TV here and there. I know he's been in politics for a long time, but I just for the fondness that people have for him, I'm
Yeah,
surprised he didn't continue longer than he did, but I also don't know if he wanted to, right? So I don't, I
yeah.
don't know. But
So I actually remember Govinda before his David Dhawan
mm,
partnership, right? Because so when he actually debuted and stuff, he wasn't a comedy star. He very much wanted to be a hero, and typically
sure.
comedians are not hero, right? Like comedians are often side characters and not given as much importance and stuff. So he did not want to be a comedian. He very much wanted to be a hero, and he did want to capitalize on his dancing to get him through. He was also a huge fan of the movie Disco Dancer, and he had apparently done like audition tapes of himself practicing those
Oh
dances
wow.
from from Disco Dancer, and that's how he was trying to get producers to like look at him and
Mm,
stuff. And I've seen some of his earlier movies that are pre David Dhawan days, and he did a lot of dramas at the time, and he's actually shockingly good.
mm,
Like if there I feel like there are people who only know Govinda from David Dhawan films, and I'm not
mhm.
one of them because I actually saw his films before that, so in the 80s and stuff. Like he did this really good movie called Hatya, and Hatya means murder, and it's literally like a murder mystery, and it's a serious movie, and it's a whodunit, and he's really good in that. And then he did like a few romantic films. He was a hit pair with Neelam, and he really kind of capitalized on his like teeny bopper good looks and his dancing. And they did these like cute frothy things with some like important like dramatic dialogues and stuff. So it seemed very much like he was well on his way towards like chocolate boy hero, romantic hero with like a few action scenes thrown here and there, kind of like, kind of like a baby Amir Khan kind of. And then I don't know when he crossed paths with David Dhawan or when that happened, but once they gave his first hit, once these two people collaborated and gave their first hit, it was like boom, they were off to the races, because then every film that they did kept becoming a hit and people will look forward to their films, right? Like it would be like, oh, there's a David Dhawan Govinda movie coming out and we should go watch it. And I think that just kind of like eclipsed everything he had done before that. And then he just kind of focused on this and kind of got typecast. Like, if you once his David Dhawan era began, it's very hard to look at his filmography and see has he worked with anyone else. He didn't really try to like do other stuff. He didn't really focus too much on his romantic stuff. And then after the David Dhawan stuff, he did a few movies like Partner, where he worked with Salman. But I mean, that was a comedy as well. So it's interesting. I definitely remember back in the 90s, David Dhawan into Govinda being like a big thing. Like people would look forward to their next movie, and they were prolific, right? Like they were working on a lot of movies simultaneously. And so if you look at the gaps between their films, they're
Yeah.
not that big. And you were always assured of the same star cast. It was always Kader Khan. It was always Karishma Kapoor. It was always Arunai Irani. Arunai Irani is in Raja Babu as well. And the music was always good. That was the one thing. The music was always catchy, and you were always going to get some good dances. And I think that they intentionally also tried to stir up some controversy with some of the songs and dances that they did. Like, for example, Sarkailo Khatia, which was like literally like banned and stuff. It got into a lot of trouble. And then what was that other song that got into trouble? Which is from Raja
Oh
Babu.
yeah.
That one got in trouble. But I think that was actually a strategy. Like maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but I think they
Oh, I don't think
intentionally
so. I'm
wanted
sure
to
it's
like,
yeah.
because it encourages more people to go to the movie theater, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's a selling strategy.
According to IMDb, they've done 20 films together, which, if you're
Which
counting, is more than Satyajit Ray and Sumitra Chatterjee.
Yeah, but it makes sense because if
Yeah.
it ain't broke, why fix it? If people are liking your movies and they're making them hits, then why not? Like there are one or two Govinda films that I have seen in the movie theater with like horrible seats because I just couldn't get tickets even with advanced booking to
Mm.
see them like in a, like my friend really desperately wanted to watch Bade Mia Chote Mia. Why? I have no idea. This is another movie where I think Amitabh Bachchan plays his brother. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, sure. And she desperately wanted to watch it. And I was like, oh, no. But I had already made her watch a movie she didn't want to watch. So, honor code, I kind of had to watch it for her. And I was like, oh, fine. I'll try not to have a bad attitude. And we watched it like in the third row of a really shitty movie theater because that was the only place we could get tickets. And that movie wasn't even that much of a super hit. It was still packed though.
Mm.
So I think it really spoke to a lot of people. And I remember at that time enjoying those films and like especially enjoying the songs and the dances. And I still enjoy Govinda. I think he did a thing that no one else could do because until him, comedic heroes were, well, there was Kishore Kumar, but he's more known as a singer. Like
Right.
his legacy as a singer is greater. And then the other comedians were always like side characters, right? Like they were never the hero, like
Mhm.
Mahmood or Keshta Mukherjee or people like that, or Shakti Kapoor doing one of his stupid brainless comedy things. I can't think of anyone except Govinda who's like an actual comic hero. And in that
Mm.
sense, I think of him almost, the way we think about like say Jim Carrey, where Jim Carrey is like a star, but he's a comedian star.
Mhm.
So I think with him, it was like, he hit gold and he realized these movies are going to make me a gigantic superstar. No one else can do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so might as well run with it, which I think is a very smart way to like, you know,
Sure.
I think it's a really great career strategy.
Two things. One is just I will share about the film, and the other is a question. The first that I want to share, you mentioned Shakti Kapoor. He's in the beginning of my film as a version of himself, basically auditioning women on the casting couch.
Oh,
And
good Lord.
I don't know if people knew then or if that had started yet with him. I'm not au fait with the scandal of
Right.
his behavior, really, but oh, that's aged very badly.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's just played for complete laughs the whole time, because of
Oh,
course it
that's
is. And
terrible.
it's really gross. It's really gross. So if you do watch this movie, skip the first 10 minutes or so. You won't miss anything, but you'll miss that. So that's nice.
Yeah.
The question I have for you is, why do you think these were so popular? They clearly are popular, but why?
I think they're popular with people who like mindless masala.
Hmm.
because like what I said about David Holmes, you really don't have to think. You can go 47 minutes. You can enter the movie theater 25 minutes into the movie. You honestly wouldn't have missed anything and you'd be able to catch. Like, this is not particularly intellectual stuff. There's not that much of a plot line for you to follow. And it's just kind of like, I think these movies are popular for the same reason that most masala movies are popular, in that you don't really have to think. Like, how much thinking does a person have to do when they're watching a Manmohan Desai movie, right? Like, I don't like Manmohan Desai films, and it's, to me, it's like, here we go again, a locket and a ma and a whatever. So I think people just like it because they don't want to think too much,
Mm.
and I think the music appeals to people. And the costumes appeal to people, and I think that people just do like Govinda. There's an affable charm he has
Mm.
that he brings to the table that I think people have like a soft spot for. Because I can't think of too many other actors of his time that were affable, right? And
Mm.
this is going to sound like such blasphemy, especially coming from a Hrithik Roshan fan as I am. I actually kind of enjoy Govinda's dancing more than Hrithik's.
Oh, interesting.
I know that's crazy to say because Hrithik is obviously the superior dancer. He's amazing, etc., etc. Here's the thing, though: Hrithik's dancing sometimes comes across as completely joyless,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
right? Like when you watch him in Dhoom, for example, like when he's dancing on Dhoom Machale. Yes, he looks amazing, and I always wonder, like, what is this anatomical, what is going on? Do you have bones or do you not? It's just cartilage, right? And he's so effortless that is kind of wackadoo, but he doesn't look like he's having fun.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, okay. Or when he's doing like Gunguru Toot Ge, like that song, for example, I look at his face and like he looks very chiseled and obviously he looks gorgeous. But again, are you having fun? And if they're not having fun, I don't really have fun either. Whereas when I look at a Govinda dance, like the Raja Babu title song or any of his songs, really, I don't think his footwork is as lightning fast as Hrithik's is. I don't think he's as flexible. He's just not as mobile as Hrithik is, but few people are, honestly.
Yeah.
But he looks like he's having a blast.
Yeah.
He's giddy with joy. His expressions are really quick. He makes
Or
all these
he's
like
being
silly
coy, or he's
faces.
got a secret.
Yeah.
He's trying
Or
to,
he's being
yeah.
cute, or he's not taking himself. I think
Yeah.
that's the other thing. He doesn't take himself too
Mm.
seriously, which, as much as I love Hrithik Roshan, there is kind of like an uptightness to him
Yeah.
where he's like, I am focusing, I am concentrating, and it's like, relax, you're a movie star, you're not, this is not brain surgery, we can all chill, but with Govinda, you kind of like, oh, he's having a good time, he's having fun, and he's being silly. I do think Salman brings that quality too. I mean, I am not a Salman Khan fan by any stretch of the imagination, but even when Salman Khan does silly songs, like the song he has with Rani Mukherjee, I'm sure you've heard it, Chandi ki dal par sone ka mor, tak jhaak tak kare niche ka chor. He's so silly. Or even in the songs in Judwa, he's actually like shockingly funny in those songs. Varun Dhawan has that same quality. So I feel like I even enjoy Govinda's dancing more than I enjoy Hrithik Roshan's dancing, because there's an effortless, I'm just having fun, you guys, kind of
Yeah.
vibe to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing about Govinda that appeals to people,
Yeah.
right? Like he's just having a good time. So yeah. But those movies have not aged well at all. Yeah.
I did enjoy the one where he directs his own son. Oh, not Coolie number one. That was uh I enjoyed Mantara Hero and I enjoyed Judwa too.
Oh, I have
Um
not seen either of those.
you can live without having seen
Okay.
them, but as someone who likes Varun, I did watch those and I was not sad about it. I've never That's not true. I did actually rewatch part of Judwa too. I've never rewatched Mantara Hero, but I remember finding them
Okay.
fun. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, not in a way that's like, if you ask me what happens in those movies, I have no memory of it
Right.
whatsoever, really, except that Jadwa 2 is in London for reasons, and but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like that. You know who else reminds me of Govinda a little bit? Prabhudeva.
sure.
It's the same thing. I couldn't tell you the story of any Prabhudeva movie I've ever seen, but I really enjoy watching him dance. Like when he's doing Urvasi Urvasi, or one of those songs. He's just so much fun. And sometimes I'll have like a friend and I'll mention Prabhudeva and they'll make a face and they're like, ew, why do you like Prabhudeva? I'm like, he just has so much fun when he's dancing.
People
What is the
don't like
problem?
Prabhu
No.
Deva?
And I'm like, okay, and like, I'm not saying to these people that Prabhudev is like a great actor, that is not the point. But I'm like, but just look at his dances. He's
So
having such a good
amazing.
time.
Yeah.
And people are like, mm. But to be fair, have I
Party
sat through
poopers.
those movies and would I watch those movies again? No, it's much easier for me to go on YouTube and watch those song videos and be like,
Well,
yay.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, what would Govinda's career have been like had there been YouTube, you
Right,
know? Because you don't have to go to the theaters anymore to see these things. So
right.
he'd been a TikTok star for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm also thinking about who his competitors were at that time, right? Like we're talking about the 90s, so we're talking about the Khans, and they were all doing like Salman was starting to do a lot of romantic stuff and dramas and lots of actiony stuff. Amir was still in his chocolate boy phase, and he was doing all those movies like with like Juhi and stuff. Shah Rukh was doing his weirdly intense Dar and Bazigar type of things, but then there was DDLJ, which was like a big romantic like lead. I mean, they were already doing a lot more meaty stuff.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he was just kind of like, I'll let you do that. Like you go ahead and do that, but I'm gonna keep doing this thing, which is like a sure shot moneymaker. Because
Yeah.
I wonder at what point you also ask yourself, it's kind of like, when I was watching that Bindu interview and she said, at one point she felt bad that she wasn't a heroine and that she was just a vamp, but she quickly realized that as a vamp she had no competition, and she would rather rule the roost as a vamp than be a heroine and fight over scraps like everyone else was. And I wonder if that was also a thought that Govinda had, where he was like, if I can compete with them for that share of the pie, or I can just do my own thing. And if that's what he was thinking, then like more power to him, I guess.
It's wild to me that Govinda is only 2 years older than the Khans.
Yeah, I mean, he is kind of in their same
He
age group.
seems an entirely different generation to me.
Yeah.
So different.
He
Has
also started, I feel like he started a lot earlier than they did. And
Yeah.
so he was just much like, he's just been in the industry longer than they have. One other reason I've heard about Govinda not like being able to keep up his success though is also the fact that he didn't keep up with the gym going,
Yeah.
steroid taking, control your diet, have a
Yeah.
six pack trend that was
Mhm.
beginning, because that was not the trend until then. I mean, when
Right.
Govinda came on the scene, we still had Rishi Kapoor wearing his sweaters and being very much the uncle who
Very
was
uncle.
romancing
Yeah.
like Divya Bharti or whatever.
Yeah.
And so to him, that was normalized, right? But then with the Khans, there was this emphasis. Suddenly you saw actors spending so much more time in the gym and making sure that they remained like presentable and stuff. And then the models started entering the film industry. And I think Govinda just kind of like missed that boat. A lot of people do talk about how his refusal to get fit also affected him.
Mm.
So I don't know.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry people say things like that. It's
Yeah.
hard to be a person with a body in the public eye for
Yeah.
we often talk about it for women and not as much for men, but for men also, obviously, and for all sorts of people. Are there any Govinda films that aren't comedies that you recommend particularly?
I like Hatya.
Mm.
I also like Ilzam. However, remember that these are 80s flicks and I
Right.
haven't seen them. I haven't like rewatched them. So I don't know to what extent they would hold up today. I also vaguely remember, I think he was in Swarg, which is an extremely melodramatic movie starring Rajesh Khanna in his waning
Decline and fall.
years.
Yeah.
Yes. And I actually remember, so I was very little and I was obsessed with watching these like 80s movies because that's all we got, right? Like that's what we got from grocery store uncle. It's not like we could pick. We would go to the grocery store uncle and say, okay, what new movies do you have? And he would just give you the movies and you just
Mhm.
watch them, right? You had no idea what you were going to be watching. And I think there was a spate of 3 or 4 movies I saw, among which was Swarg. And in that, for some reason, the people, the men in these movies, the older men, would go and start coughing, and then they would bring the rumal to their face, and there would be blood, right? Because they had like some sort of very long something something sarcoma. They would have that. And I would watch those, and then I got really scared. And one day I had like a little bit of a coughing fit
Oh
because I
no.
think it was just like it was just like a dusty day or something.
Yeah.
And I burst into tears. And I remember my mother asking me, she was like, "Why are you crying? Just because like you coughed a little bit? Just take some cough syrup." And I was like, "No, I'm going. The next step is I'm gonna cough up blood at the sink, and I'm gonna have like cancer. I'm gonna have like 2 months to live, and this is very alarming because like I like going to school and I like having friends." And then I think for like about a month, my parents decided I was not allowed to watch any Hindi movies unless they had first vetted them. So Swarg is a very important place in my life because Swarg resulted in a 1 month long parental movie boycott.
And are you a smoker?
I am not a smoker.
See, it worked. Scared straight.
Exactly. But yeah, so I would probably say Hatya, I would say Ilzam. I remember him being really good in Swarg, but also remember being traumatized by this movie. And also, you'll get to see Rajesh Khanna on his downward spiral,
Which I do enjoy.
yeah,
Mhm.
which is enjoyable. You can see him coughing up blood if you like. Um, so I remember those movies being good and him being good in them,
Hmm.
but I have not rewatched them
Rewatched.
since like decades. So God knows how atrocious they actually are.
I did really like Govinda in uh Kill Dill, which is over 10 years old now, I think, but I with
I
Ranveer
don't think I've seen
Singh
it.
and Pariniti Chopra, and I'm forgetting who the actor is who's in that also. Oh no, what is it called? It is called oh, Ali Zafar, of course. Ali Zafar is
Oh,
in that.
I
And
don't remember this
they're
movie.
kind of criminals-ish or
Oh,
whatever. I remember I've ne again I've never rewatched it, but Govinda is the criminal mastermind
mm,
basically. And I mean I remember at the time I think there being like, ooh, kind of playing against type. Ooh, what is this? And it's a comedy,
right,
but it's a little more of a I don't think it's a black comedy, but it's darker, and
right.
he's not playing the criminal boss usually. He might be pretending to be the criminal boss in other
Right.
films, but he's actually it in this one. So that's fun.
Yeah. I
And I
don't.
liked Partner. I had fun in Partner.
Oh yeah, I remember Partner.
Mhm.
That was like that was fun as well. Who is that? Also David Dhawan movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was. I again, I don't remember much of it, but I remember that song being really awesome. The Soni De
Oh,
Nakhre. That is such a mainstay at any like wedding, at any sangeet or reception. Like by 2 a.m., the DJ is always playing Soni De Nakhre. Like you have to have that on your playlist, especially if there's like a lot of millennials and stuff
Mm.
in the crowd. But yeah, I think I have a soft spot for Govinda. I just wish he'd like I just wish David Dhawan was better. I wish the writing was
Yeah.
better. And I really blame both David Dhawan and Kadir Khan for that because it's so regressive. It's so misogynistic. You really can't miss how awful the writing is in these movies.
Let me ask you this. Do
Yeah.
you think,
Wait, you
obviously,
coughed.
oh,
Do
sorry.
you have a romal?
Do I don't. I don't.
Oh
Oh no.
no.
Oh
Oh
no.
no.
I did go home from work sick on Friday. So, no blood.
Beth,
No blood.
it was nice knowing you.
Ah, this will be my tribute, my lasting tribute to the world as filming ladies. Do you think that the comedy in these movies tends to rely on dialogue in a way that makes someone who needs subtitles less able to kind of get it? You were saying that you think you can wander in and out of the film at any point and not
Yeah.
really miss anything that matters. Is there a lot of wordplay?
There is some wordplay. There's
Some.
some like double entendres and
Sure.
stuff like that. A lot of it is about like rapid fire delivery, for instance.
Mm,
But a lot of Govinda's comedy, honestly, is physical,
right.
right? That's not necessarily something
No,
that's a subtitles issue.
no,
You
not
know
at
what I
all.
mean? It's kind
And
of like,
I do enjoy him doing disguises and stuff like that.
yeah.
So
And
and
a
you
lot of
can
it is that too.
yeah, and you can see very clearly he's using his body in different ways when he takes on these different, sub roles within a film or and I'm not going to remember which movie it is, but I know that I've seen him dancing in
Mhm.
disguise as well. So like he's dancing in a different way, which is
Right.
amazing. And also just in general, I forget what song it was in this one, but there's a scene where he's like doing this gesture, just
Okay.
barely moving his fingers, and he's way better at it than anybody else on the screen.
Yeah.
how can someone be so good at this? You know,
He's
he's such a star.
Yeah, no, his dancing is truly amazing. And he
Hmm.
does what Saroj Khan used to say was the mark of a good dancer, which is he dances with his face.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
she would always say, like, you can get all of your movements right, you can get your footwork right, you can get your timing right. But A, if you don't like your look like you're having fun, which is an issue I have with Ritik,
Yeah.
and B, if you don't use your facial expressions, it's gonna fall flat, right? Like this is why Katrina Kaif's dancing never resonates with me because I'm like, girl,
What
your
I was
face doesn't
thinking
move.
of.
Yeah, I'm like, your face doesn't move. Like, I
Yeah,
know you're doing the footwork, but I would rather watch Madhuri instead of you or Aishwarya instead of you,
sure.
right? With Govinda, he does these minute, tiny, tiny,
Mm-hmm.
tiny little movements.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he doesn't even need to do all the steps that his background dancers are doing, and he still gets the message across. So there's a lot of ease with
Yeah.
which he does complex
Yeah.
stuff, which
Yeah.
makes me think that he's very much a master of
Yeah.
what he does. I just wish he had better material to play with, and that's not his fault. That's the fault
Yeah.
of his director and his writer, right?
Yeah.
And I actually do think that Govinda is a much better actor than he's given credit for, not just for the pre David Dhawan phase movies that I'm talking about, but because I do think that people consistently underrate comedic stars,
Absolutely
right?
do.
Like
Yeah.
no one ever gives Madhubala the flowers that they give Meena Kumari, because Meena
Mm.
Kumari was a tragedy queen and Madhubala did comedy. The only Madhubala movie anyone ever gives her credit for is Mughal Azam because she's crying in it, right? So I think with Govinda too, it's like because his biggest hits are comedies and because he's associated with David Dhawan and slapstick, people don't give him credit for his good acting. But when you see him in some of the dramatic scenes, even in the David Dhawan films, he actually executes those scenes brilliantly well. It's just being a comedic star, you're always going to be rated lower
Yeah,
than other people, which also I think is incredibly unfair.
it is.
But
It is.
yeah, but to answer your question, I think you might be missing some of the subtext just
Yeah.
because of the translation stuff. But I think the physical comedy aspects of it and the facial stuff he does a
Yeah.
lot, Jim Carrey or like, Austin Powers, Mike Myers, so much of his stuff is like the facial stuff. I don't think that you necessarily need um, language fluency
Yeah.
for. Maybe you
Yeah.
need some cultural context. I do
Sure.
think that these movies are a product of their times.
They must be,
So,
right?
yeah. So I think sometimes people are more attached to things because they remind
Yeah.
them of like
I was
an
13. Life was good.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like for me, I just associate these movies with jankar beats,
Yeah.
rickshaws, panwalas, and trains and things like that. So I have a fondness for that era
Yeah.
because I didn't have a job and I didn't have bills to pay, so life was good, and
Yeah.
I could go and watch a movie at at any theater, no se bara, and come home really late. It was great, right? So I think there's also like a nostalgia factor.
Oh, yeah.
But some of the messaging in these movies is so stupid. So, like in Raja Babu, for instance, one of the funniest running gags in this movie, which actually ends up being like an important plot point, is that Govinda, his name is Raja Babu, and he is Aruna Rani and Kadir Khan's very spoiled son. And she's like a complete, like, hovers over him. And she spoiled him essentially. He's a complete mama's boy. His best friend is Shakti Kapoor. And he is a fifth standard fail. So he's given his fifth standard exams in school three times and he failed them all. And so then he dropped out of school. He doesn't do anything. His number one hobby, though, which really made me laugh, is he likes to go to the local photo studio and he wears outfits of professional people. So he has like a Indian Navy outfit. He has like a military outfit. He has like a commercial airline pilot
Yes.
outfit. He has an outfit of like a graduating, like the graduating cloak with the cap with the tassels. He has that with like a diploma rolled up in his hand. His favorite hobby is to go and have his picture taken like that. And then in his room, he has all of them framed and like he loves it. Like he thinks it's amazing. He will go to the photo studio and the photo studio guy will be like, okay, what getup do you want to wear today? And he's like, oh, I'm going to do this. He sees a poster of Dharamveer with Dharmendra, and then he shows up in like the little like male mini skirt thingy and
Hmm.
the armor, and he
Hmm.
has this picture taken like that too, right, with the gladiator slippers and stuff. And at first I was just laughing and giggling because I was like, this is basically like going to the mall and getting glamour shots,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it just made me giggle because he's so happy about it. And I was like, this is funny, but is this relevant? Am I supposed to really care beyond like giggling about it? Yes, it is important because his wedding is arranged with Karishma Kapoor. They both like each other. The parents decide to arrange their wedding. Things are fine. She gets very upset when she discovers that he's actually fifth standard pass. The photo they showed her of his
Oh,
was of him in the graduating thing.
yeah.
And so she thinks he's educated. Now, she's stupid. She didn't ask any questions. But still, when she discovers that they basically didn't tell her that he's fifth standard pass, she gets really upset about it. And she's like, I'm not going to marry this like illiterate, like stupid person who doesn't do anything, just sits around all day and like rides his motorcycle in the gaon. And then there's all these dialogues about how the worth of a person is not measured by how much education I have. I was like, okay, first of all, to some extent, yes, it is, because you have all the privilege of the world and you cannot be
Yeah.
bothered to even
Use
like
it.
yeah, to study like at least till your 10th grade or whatever. So number one, you're lazy. Number two, you did lie by omission. And clearly you find these professions aspirational, which is why you get photographed like that. So, and then you're going to give this woman a lecture that she shouldn't look down upon you. I was like, wow, imagine being a teenager and watching these movies. Thank God this stupid messaging didn't enter my brain. Imagine being a teenager and being taught that it's wrong of a woman to look down upon a man who doesn't have a good enough education, meaning he's not even fifth standard pass, and that she's bad for expecting more and she's bad for questioning that.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I love how every single person thinks Karishma Kapoor's character is in the wrong here.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And then when she actually comes around and she's like, okay, fine, whatever, you're actually a good guy. It's because she realizes that like he's a good guy, which I was like, okay, again, we are conflating two things. Being uneducated and being a good guy are like, these are two completely different
Right.
issues. The issue still stands, but there's no mention of it. And I was like, wow, I'm glad that the only bad thing I learned from these movies is that coughing can give me blood cancer and I can die, because I feel like this is more traumatic. Then there's this whole thing about their wedding has been announced and she cancels the wedding and she tears up the wedding invitation and she's like the worst person in the world because she does that. And I'm like, okay.
Mm,
And then of course your favorite word in the world comes up, which is Izzat.
of
Izzat
course.
is mentioned multiple times by Kader Khan in varying levels of emotion. And then Izzat is also mentioned by Aruna Irani to varying levels of emotion. And I was like, oh, Beth would love this.
I did not catch Izzat in the film I watched, but I did fast forward a lot, so I could have just missed it, but I didn't notice it in the subtitles, so.
There was a lot of Izzat in my movie.
Mm,
So it was just kind of like, this is so stupid. Like, if you want to make like a silly, goofy movie, just make a silly, goofy movie. But like,
yeah.
don't have such absolutely atrocious messaging. But I think that's David Dhawan.
Yeah.
He's
A-
consistently
And it's the times,
awful.
right? Like,
Yeah, it
I
is
mean,
also the times to a large extent.
I have just
But
read
David Dhawan's movies are much more egregiously bad, though.
yeah, I just read a blistering, not just a couple months
Mm.
ago, Anna Vetikad had a blistering take on DDLJ that I was very excited
Ooh.
to read as someone who does not like that film. And I was like, yes. And my 15-year-old nibbling by
Mhm.
friendship, because I do not have siblings, but my best friend's daughter has asked me if I will watch DDLJ with her. I don't know how she found out about it. I don't know. So we're going to watch it on Thursday. So I was like, I will have literature prepared for you to read after you've seen the film.
Right.
So I'm so interested to see what she will make of it.
I mean, that movie is so problematic, but Shah Rukh Khan in that movie, I mean, I can't. Like, I'm a fan. And every close up of his, especially when he's in that jacket, in his leather jacket, and he's on the motorbike and he turns around in his floppy, like silly, moppety hair and his dimple. I can't. I refuse. I can't. People can criticize DDLJ to me all day long, and I will agree with them. And then I see Shah Rukh Khan's close up, and I'm just like, okay, all is forgiven. Like Shah Rukh Khan in the Kate with his arms out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm coming running to you.
We'll have to see what the Gen Z Or is she alpha? She might be alpha. Um,
We shall see if Shah Rukh's dimples have the effect on her that they have had on everyone from
she
Gen X to millennials to Gen Z.
she has seen Pahaley, but she was little. She was much littler when she
Um,
saw it. So she was not even a tween, I think, when we watched it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I will report back.
nice. Okay. But I think it's good that we did this episode because we had
Yeah.
talked about how some actors are woefully unrepresented on this podcast. It sounds like for good reason.
And I will
Um,
gladly watch more Govinda films. I probably would try not to, for me, do another David Dhawan film.
David
I
Dhawan,
would try to
yeah,
find something else because I know he's making more than this. So
right,
I will gladly try some others, especially if people have particular recommendations in addition to what Pitu has shared. So please feel free
yeah,
to tell me what I should watch because I would like to know more about Govinda. And there are many people I know and respect who love him. So like I'm like, well, I'm clearly not getting it. So
right.
let me give myself a little more information before I decide.
Right. Plus, you can always like an actor, even if you
Yes.
don't like the ecosystem
Yes.
within which his movies are being made. You know what
Yes,
I mean?
absolutely.
Like, I like Govinda. David Dhawan just doesn't do it for me,
No.
but I still like him.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe you should watch Hatya. I don't even know if where Hatya is available anymore, and I don't know if there's subtitles. It's just such an old movie, and it's a movie no one really talks about anymore. But
Mm.
I remember it being good. I remember him being good. So.
See what we can find. I'm sure things are around.
Yeah. I did also hear that one of the issues with Govinda was a complete refusal to get along with people, which is very important in every
Oh,
single industry.
yeah.
And apparently he just like threw his weight around a lot and thought of himself as, hero number one. And that's part of the reasons why once his partnership with David Dhawan was essentially over, he wasn't able to work with other people. Like I would be very interested in seeing him in like a movie made by Zoe Akhtar, for example. I think that would be interesting because her comedy tends to be right up my alley and it's not slapstick. It tends to be witty and it tends to be dry. So I'm just curious.
What would happen?
Mm.
This I just had this thought. It has not been filtered. What would happen if Govinda got some of the roles that Rishi Kapoor, RIP, cannot do anymore?
What do you mean?
Like interesting, like uncle, like
Yeah,
grandpa. Could we put him in the roles that Rishi is not here to do?
I think he would be so cute in those, except he's a hero and therefore in his own mind he won't do that. He wants to be hero is the issue.
But he's 62
Yes, and that
three
hasn't
years
stopped the
old.
cons from being
Well,
heroes.
right. But I mean, even he has got to realize he is not in the same category as they are, even though on paper I can see why he'd think, if
Yeah,
you were just looking at it, you might think he is, but he's clearly not. So
right.
I, can't you see him in something like Doduni Char? That would have been so cute.
I think he
So
would be
cute in
so
something
cute
like
in
that.
that. I think he would, but I do
Hmm.
think he's one of those people
And
that has burnt a lot of bridges.
and bring him in as a mega villain, surprise mega villain, like
Yeah.
when Farouk Sheikh was in Shanghai or when
Oh
Rishi
yeah.
was in Agnipath. Like that could be, and maybe he's done that and I'm just ignorant of it, but I could see him being a really fun ooh twist,
Yeah.
against type
I
guy.
I think so, but yeah, I mean I think a lot of that stuff could be interesting. It's just funny to me when people just like insist on holding on to their like hero tag when they're way past that hero tag. So
But and then we
hubris.
support them in it.
Well, I don't watch Salman Khan movies,
I know, but you watch Shah Rukh movies. Come
but
on.
I'm not going to watch King because I'm
You're
so sick of the
you're
dribble.
truly not going to watch
I'm
it.
not going to. It looks like crap.
I
It
know it
looks like
does.
absolute crap. I'm not gonna. I also don't want to support his stupid daughter. Like I'm so
Mm.
over his kid children. So I would much rather watch his old movies where he's adorable and cute. So yeah. And Amr, I don't really watch Amar's movies anyways, but I like some of the stuff he's done. Like I loved Secret Superstar and Dangal and stuff.
Oh, Secret Superstar is
Um,
cute.
Secret
Yeah.
Superstar was so cute. I wish more people talked about it, but I
Yeah.
also liked him in Dangal.
What
Um,
let's do an episode on Dungle because I haven't seen it
I
but the one
know.
time and I loved it in the theater.
I
Like I
love
was
that
crying
song,
and everything.
बापू सेहत के लिए तू तो हानिकारक है.
And the talent spotting in that, like we love
Yeah.
we love those girls.
I know they're so cute. I mean,
Amazing.
Sani Malhotra, of course, has done a lot. I haven't
Okay.
seen a lot of Fatima Sana Sheikh though. I mean, I know she's
Not
done more
as much.
movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the last Sani Malhotra movie I saw was the Hindi version of The Great Indian Kitchen.
Hmm.
It had a different title though, Mrs. I think it was
Mrs.
called Mrs.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was good. So
I watched
yeah,
the thing that she did with Varun Dhawan and John V in the last year, the name of which I completely don't remember. It's by the
I
Badrinath.
don't know it. Oh, it's part of that franchise.
Yeah. Um,
Okay.
again, you could watch it on a plane, but you don't need
Yeah.
to. But she and Varun are a couple initially, but then they split up and whatever. But
Okay.
I do love Sanya Malhotra, so it was fun to see her. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
anyway,
I think that concludes this episode. Did you have anything else to add?
no.
Are you going to break into dance immediately into hip thrusts for us?
No, what I will tell you I am going to do though is I've taken the week off of work because it is spring break at the university where I work, and it's a good time to take some time off. And I, for another project, am rewatching The Burning Train. And I was like, oh,
Yay.
this is where I belong.
Right.
Like suffering through this David Darwin. Then I'm like 1980. Yes, B.R. Chopra produced. Gimme, gimme, gimme,
Right.
gimme. Like everybody is in it. I had
Just
forgotten
people in it.
exactly how many people are in it, and I am just enjoying every single one of them to the max. We had just spoken about how you had had the brilliant choice of in a movie I watched that Anil Dhawan was like the main guy who's kind of a bad guy, but not really. And we were talking about who should it have been instead, and you said Danny. And
Danny.
Danny, of course, is in the burning train as a villain. And I was like, yes, Danny, yes. And there's a scene at the beginning where you have Danny, Vinod Mehra, Vinod Khanna, and Dharmendra all in the same frame. And I was like, I will just combust. What's going on? There's so
I
much like
know.
mega machismo, 70s, macho, whatever, like so much. They're actually not even mostly wearing leather jackets in that scene, but you can tell that they should be. And it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everything is there.
I would expect like things to like spontaneously combust, like, like
If my
suddenly your
house
TV just
burns
goes
down,
poof.
it's because I got way too. Somebody came and set a bomb on my house, just like in the burning train.
Hopefully not. And
No,
hopefully you will not have any more coughing fits and they won't be dire.
no, it's all
I
fine.
wish you good health, Beth.
Thank you. And no meddling, nefarious meddling by Danny.
Yes. I mean, I kind of feel like you would enjoy nefarious meddling by Danny, but that's
I'd
that's not
rather
a very
watch it than
PG-13 thing to
experience
say.
it. No.
Oh, okay. All right, well, that concludes this episode. Tell us what you think. Do you actually like David Dhawan, Govinda movies? And if you do, is it nostalgia or do you just genuinely like them? And if you think we're just being haters, then just let us know. And we'll try to watch them with renewed interest, although I kind of need a break right now.
I'd watch Hero Number One again. Not like
Okay.
immediately, but like give me another couple years. I'd watch that one again. That was fun.
Yeah. And then tell us what your favorite Govinda movies are. And do you think that Govinda, the TikTok star, would be like your favorite TikTok influencer? Because Beth thinks that that's a good career pivot for him. For more career advice, follow Filmy Ladies. And for more brilliant things, such as I think Govinda is a better dancer than Ritik Roshan, so sue me, follow Filmy Ladies for more controversial takes. And we will see you next week. Bye.